Hey everyone, welcome back to part 3 of this video where we continue with the post method and modify the delete method. Okay, starting with the post, let's continue. Alright, in this method, this is responsible for adding our photos to the photos directory over here. So we give it a location and the memory stream bytes, okay? Alright, that's it for our post method. Alright, so let's continue. Let's add a single line of code that will remove our photos from the directory, okay? Great, that's it. This will go ahead and remove the photo from the photos directory. Right, next I'm going to create a new controller, or rather add new controller. Let's call it images controller. Over here I'm going to remove the bits we don't need. Let's delete all this. Here. Oops. Alright, let's again create a constructor. DB context. Okay, let's generate a read-only property. Down here we say file name. Change the return type. Accept a string called file name. So this is such that we say our URL will read something like images / the file name, okay? Alright, let's quickly flesh this out. Great, that's it for our images controller. Next up, let's just add some validation rules to our client models. First, we'll start with the name. And once again, I do have it on the clipboard just to save us a little bit of some time, and also the same for our file. So we say photo is required. Let's add namespace here. Alrighty, that's good. Let's save that. Go ahead to the update model and same thing here. Right. Let's say 2, and we add a namespace. Alright, we are done. Next, I'm going to show you how to add documentation to your web API using Swagger. So the first thing we do is we just add a NuGet package, and it's called Swashbuckle ASP.NET Core. Here it is. Accept the terms and condition. I'm just going to close this, and let's head on over to startup and configure Swagger. So the first thing is let's add Swagger into a dependency injection container. Give it a name of our solution, and version we can just call it the same, v1. Doesn't really matter. Give it a name that makes sense for you. Next, let's add Swagger to our request pipeline. This takes a couple of strings. I'm going to give it the name of our solution, Car Garage 7, and our endpoint URL. So we need to go to Swagger v1 JSON. Right before we forget, we need to re-enable launching a browser, and this time we want to go to Swagger. Alright, at this point I can go ahead and delete the weather focus controller. We don't need it anymore. Yes, and also the type. Great, so let's run our application. This should go ahead and launch a browser, which it does. Okay, so we close these other browsers. And before we go on using Swagger, let's go ahead and continue on with the Postman, just to know how to use Postman. And over here, I'm going to test the post method we've just created. In the body, let's just set it to form data. And our car upload model has a property called user ID, and we give it a value 100. And the name, I do know I do have a Rolls-Royce somewhere on my computer. Let's go ahead and change the type here and give it file name. So let's select file from our computer. Here's my Rolls-Royce, and I'm going to press enter. And so let's issue a post request. And there we go. We have a Rolls-Royce with ID 9, and now let's test our images control and see if everything is well. Hit send. Excellent. We get a 200. Okay, and check it out. Here's our Rolls. Okay, it is pretty big file, so that's why it wouldn't fit over here. Okay. So that's it for Postman. I'm going to switch back to our browser, and here is our JSON. If we want to check out detailed documentation, we can click on this JSON, and that will give us the structure of our application. But for now, let's not worry about that. So here is our API, and it has schemas, and here our controller, right? Cars controller and image. Okay, so if we issue get real quick, try it out. Issue get, we should get 9 cars back. Okay, 1 through 6. And 7 through 9. And here's our Rolls-Royce that we added using Postman. So I'm gonna post this time using Swagger. So we're gonna try it out. I'm gonna switch the user to user with ID 101, and I do have a Grand Renault on my computer. So choose file. Go ahead and select that Grand Renault and execute. And there we go. We get a 201 created and ID 10 Grand Renault. I'm gonna just copy the file name. So sorry. Okay, so we're gonna copy our file name. Okay, and we're gonna see. We need our images controller. Here it is, and we can try it out and paste it. And if we issue and execute, we should get back our green Renault. Here it is. Okay, so everything looks fine. Okay, so it's not just for the cars we added. Okay, I'm just refresh this real quick. We can issue any get. Let's see the get command, and let's say random car ID 3, and there we go. We get a Corvette spots, and I'm just gonna copy this. Right, let's deleting trail slash can be a little tricky, so we copy until there, copy the file, Control C, and once again images, so we can try it out, and paste that, execute, and there you go. Oh, before I forget, let's go back to Visual Studio, and you can see here clearly there's a green Renault, and where's the rows, and here's our Rolls Royce. Now let's finish off with delete. What do we expect with delete? We need to delete car ID 9, that was our Rolls Royce. We can execute that, and as you can see, 204 no content. Same thing with car with ID 10. Let's execute, and we get a 204, and we look back at the get method. We try it back, execute, and we have our original 8 cars. We come back to Visual Studio, there are 8 images, meaning the green car and the Rolls is gone. Okay, so that's how to create a web API that can process images to and from the file system, in our case a photos directory, and serve it out to clients. Okay, so here's what we've done. The API startup, first we added a configured Swagger here, and added Swagger to a request pipeline, and we added validations. Okay, so here's our images controller that has been serving us images very well from our clients to our clients, and our post method, our delete method. Okay, so that's it for this part. Okay, but I hope to see you in part 4, because right now our API is not optimal. Okay, for example, whenever we make database calls, it is convention to wrap these calls in a try-catch block. And also join me in part 4, where I'll show you how to add a little bit of logging to know, in case something goes wrong with one of our methods, we can log that to our logging system. Okay, so join me thanks for watching, and hope you'll see me. I'll see you in part 4. Thanks for watching once again.